Robert Eggers is going to 10th century Iceland with Alexander Skarsgård. Edward Norton thinks your movie theater sucks. And Studio Ghibli films are coming to streaming. Sorry, Polygon. All of that and more on the Cinemateq Weekly News Wrap-Up. My name is TJ, and make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can keep up to date with all of the important film news. Alright, let's get into it. Starting off with Robert Eggers, who you probably know best as directing The Witch and the forthcoming The Lighthouse, already has his next film lined up. It's going to feature Alexander Skarsgård, and it is called The Northman. According to Slash Film, Nicole Kidman, Anya Taylor-Joy, Bill Skarsgård, and Willem Dafoe are also in talks to join the film. Alexander Skarsgård approached Eggers with the initial idea for the film, which centers on a prince in 10th century Iceland who seeks revenge for the death of his father. Eggers will also be writing the film, co-writing the story with Icelandic novelist Sojan. It all kind of sounds like Eggers is doing a Viking Hamlet with Alexander Skarsgård, and I am so into this idea. I want it in my eyes right now, immediately. Please let me have this film as quickly as possible. And please, let us know what you think about Eggers' new film in the comments below. Are you as excited for it as I am? That's probably impossible, but maybe, just maybe you are. Moving on, a record 32 films have been put forward for Oscar consideration in the Best Animated Feature category. Naturally, every animated film released by Hollywood are in the list, including Toy Story 4, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and The Addams Family, all making the cut. Weathering for You also made the cut, and as we discussed last week, that is likely part of a strategy to raise the film's profile, as it was also Japan's selection for Best International Film. Now they just need to figure out if they want to go head-to-head with Toy Story 4 or Parasite. Neither of those options seem especially tantalizing. Some unexpected entries include Promare, the anime film that decided to use all of the colors, and Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, which I thought was a TV show, but I guess is also a movie. If you want to see the full list of films eligible for the full-length animated feature Oscar, please check out the link in the description below. And what do you think about the films that are nominated? Should The Addams Family even be there? I heard it wasn't that great. Moving on, the Criterion Collection has announced what films it will be releasing in January, and they include Holiday by George Cukor, The Fugitive Kind by Sidney Lumet, Les Petits Soldats by Jean-Luc Godard, Failsafe by Sidney Lumet, and All About My Mother by Pedro Almodovar. My personal highlight amongst all of these films is Failsafe by Sidney Lumet. It's a film that not a lot of people have seen, and that's exactly how Stanley Kubrick wanted it to be. When he found out that Failsafe was being made, he tried to have it buried, because the plot closely resembles that of Dr. Strangelove, except it is a serious film as opposed to a dark satire. Kubrick tried to sue the studio making Failsafe, and they came to an agreement where Failsafe would only be released to theaters after Dr. Strangelove left theaters, which left a lot of people thinking that it was just a cheap imitation and a knockoff, and it wasn't very good. I wouldn't say that it's better than Dr. Strangelove, but I would say that it is an excellent film made by a master director, and everyone owes it to themselves to see this film if they can. But what do you think about this list of Criterion films? Are you happy with it, or are you concerned that they have once again not released a film from South America or Africa? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on, Studio Ghibli didn't want to stream films, but now it definitely does. Just 3 days ago, Polygon's Matt Patches published an article on how we will likely not see Studio Ghibli's films on any streaming service. Ghibli, especially its founder Hayao Miyazaki, believe their films were best viewed in theaters, and it's hard to argue with that. And then, in an example of perfect timing, HBO MAX announced that they had acquired the streaming rights for Studio Ghibli's entire feature catalog. There's no word on if this deal includes all future Ghibli releases, and we're just going to have to wait and see if that is the case. We also are going to have to wait to see if this deal affects the theatrical distribution of Ghibli releases in the future. I'm hoping that Warner Brothers is going to be less tyrannical on this subject than, say, Disney, but once again, we don't know for sure at this time. But please, let us know what you think about this deal. Are you happy to see Ghibli films end up on HBO Max, or are you worried that that service is just going to be too expensive when it finally launches, and it's going to be one streaming service too far? Please let us know in the comments. Moving on, Matt Reeves' The Batman now has the Catwoman, and she will be played by Zoe Kravitz. Kravitz has been recently found in films like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse,
I just wondered if we could have some more bread at table 12?
and Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
I love you.
Not to mention her voice work in the Lego Batman film, where she voiced, oh my goodness, Catwoman. She will join Robert Pattinson, who has been tapped to play the Dark Knight, but not Jonah Hill, who has reported to be in talks to appear in Reeves' The Batman, but has since passed on the film. There's been no word yet on why he passed, but I doubt it will take them long to find a replacement for whichever role they were trying to cast him for. Moving on, Edward Norton is mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore. Norton, just before the theatrical release of his film Motherless Brooklyn, is taking aim at movie theaters by suggesting that 60% of American theaters are running their projector at almost half the luminosity that's required by contract to run it at. They are delivering crappy sound and a dim picture, and no one is calling them on it. Norton suggests that if you see a movie and it looks dim, you should go and complain to the manager because you are getting cheated. All of this comes after Norton defended Netflix in light of Steven Spielberg's own accusations that Netflix was destroying the theater-going experience. If you've been watching our videos from the very start, you know that we don't agree with Spielberg on this point, or the point of Ready Player One. Like, why? It's interesting to hear Edward Norton make these claims, and now that I know about it, it makes me wonder about all of my previous theatrical going experiences where I wondered if the image was a little bit dim. And now all I have to do is convince myself that I have the courage to go talk to a manager about something that they could easily say is fine. But what do you think about Norton's comments? Have you ever been in a movie where you thought the picture was exceedingly dim? Please let us know in the comments below. And with that, cinephiles, we are at the end of your weekly news wrap-up. Please make sure to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel so you can keep up to date on all the pertinent film news. Were there any stories that we didn't cover that you thought we should have? Please let us know in the comments. And now it's time for me to get back to the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. I've already seen 2 films. They were mostly okay, and Blood Machines is playing tonight, and I'm super excited for that. So have yourselves a great weekend.